What's going on, guys? Duelum here, back again with another video. Today we're going to be talking about the newly announced Incursion 2 and what you guys should do with your current raid teams to be as competitive as possible, but without wasting those resources that are greatly available, especially when new teams might be right around the corner. So if you're ready, let's get into it. First up, we're going to be talking about the oldest raid team that we still use today. That's Death Seed. Death Seed is a great team in raids, especially in Doom, but they were really good in Incursion. But the only reason they were good is because of the modifiers that Scopely added to the Incursion raids, especially the bottom one, where if you apply bleed to the enemy, it will give energy to a random ally or self. This means Dark Beast is going to be the battery of the team, and he's going to provide bleeds for everybody, and he is going to provide energy for everybody. We've also seen people taking out Psylocke and adding an Apocalypse for a bigger punch. I do think this team might do okay in Incursion raids too, just because of being able to use a massive Apocalypse, but this team is definitely on the chopping block, and I don't suggest you level them up anymore. If you're currently doing Incursion raids 1.4, 1.5, or 1.6, taking these tunes to 90, maybe 95 is going to be paramount, especially in 1.6. All of these tunes at 95 are super helpful. They've been doing great in Cosmic Crucible, but if you haven't invested in them yet, I wouldn't bother because I think this is going to be the first team that gets replaced. Next up, we're going to be talking about Rebirth. Rebirth was the solution to Doom 3.5 when Web Warriors weren't cutting it anymore. They also survived through Incursion Raids 1, but the problem is they started falling off big time at 1.6 difficulty. If you're starting to get into 1.6, you know what I'm talking about. This team just lacks the damage to be able to finish nodes, and they end up timing out. They also have a problem of getting one-shot because they have Blue ISO 5 strikers on the other side of the field, and that can one-shot Cap America or Peggy. The team I have right now is going to be Cap at level 95, US Agent at level 90, Winter Soldier at 95, Agent Venom at 95, and Peggy at 95. I did this quite a while ago, which is when they were better in Cosmic Crucible and they were really good in raids. If you're struggling right now, I wouldn't recommend taking Rebirth up at all and starting to focus on the future, because I feel like this team is going to get phased out quite quickly because they're the second oldest raid team that we have currently, just behind Death Seed at almost 11 months old. The other thing I've seen people do is they take out Agent Venom and then they actually use Super Skrull and in place of him. Super Skrull is going to provide that damage, a little bit of survivability, and some turn meter manipulation with his massive AoEs and his massive special that hits primary and adjacent for that turn meter rewind and putting that exposed mechanic out there. For those of us who don't have Super Skrull, we need to keep suffering through 1.6 a little bit more, but once we have Super Skrull, he could be the answer to help us survive through Incursion 2 without having to invest any in Rebirth and be able to survive until the new team comes out. Next up, we're going to be talking about the Invaders. They are the third oldest raid team that we use, coming out in March of this year, making them about 8 months old. This team was pretty good on release. The problem is their animations are just so slow and they lack the damage to really get through nodes, and they become a timeout issue just like Rebirth was. A solve for this is having a really big Nick Fury, which I also recommend taking into Dark Dimension 6 because I think that's going to give you some longevity and make them last in Incursion 2 a little bit longer than you might think. I don't really recommend building this team because it is solely a raid team. Nick Fury has uses in Cosmic Crucible for some speed manipulation, as well as bringing out minions to manipulate some taunts, but the problem is the rest of the team just has no use outside of raids. So if you can get away without building invaders at all, I really recommend doing this. The only one I would invest on this team is going to be Nick Fury. Take him to 7 red, take him to G18, and hope those minions can carry you in Incursion 2 until we get the next skill raid solution. To kick off the section of the newer raid teams that we're going to be talking about is going to be Bifrost. Bifrost came out in June of this year, meaning they're about 4.5 to 5 months old, which is not that bad at all. They're going to be a great team for Incursion 1, working at 1.6 at about 700,000 power, but you do have to be a little tricky with your play to be able to get through it. But at 1.6 million, they absolutely auto 1.6 difficulty in Incursion. Do I think this team is going to be great in Incursion 2? Absolutely, I do. I feel like this team is a safe investment, but maybe not take them to the moon because you may not have to for Incursion 2. This team is going to be super important for raids for Incursion 2, but there's no need to take them up higher because I don't feel like this team is going to be useful in any other game mode other than raids. The only exception to that rule is going to be Vol. I believe Vol is an amazing pick for Dark Dimension, and I feel like Vol should absolutely go all the way up to Dark Dimension 6, G18, level 95, as many reds and as many yellows as as you can take them. And if you are really into Cosmic Crucible, you've already invested in this team, so you don't have to do anything. But I do feel like this team is going to be an extremely safe investment in Incursion 2 and be able to last us through most of Incursion 2. Maybe start wavering on the last levels, but that's the last difficulties, but that's going to be something that we are going to figure out as a community. Pegasus is finally in the game, and they are the tech solution that we've all been waiting for. Gone are the days of having to use Bionic Avengers with Doom and a massive Kang just to squeak by in tech raids to be able to get those 100%. We now have Kestrel rework with Darkhawk, Iron Man Infinity War, Ironheart Mark II, and Rescue to save the day. This team is an absolute monster in tech raids, even at 1.6. I've been able to manual play 1.6 with this 1 million team. I haven't tried to sim yet because I haven't really bothered. I've been having a lot of fun being able to take out the technos when we were getting destroyed by them for months and months. This team, I feel like, is a safe investment, but as of right now, just like Bifrost, there's no need to invest in them. If they're working on the raids that you have right now, then don't bother investing in them at all. Maybe save some gold just in case they don't start working in Incursion 2.4, 2.5, and maybe even 2.6. But you have to remember, this is the newest team, and I feel like this team is going to last all the way through Incursion 2, and if it doesn't, I will be genuinely shocked. That's why I feel this team doesn't need any investment right now, maybe a little bit more on the harder Incursion 2s, and at that point, just stop because this team is going to destroy any tech raids that you come in contact with. All right, guys, that's going to be the end of this one. In summation, we talked about Death Seed, who's going to be the oldest team in the game. I don't recommend building them up at all because you're going to have APOC to maybe help you out until the next Mutant team comes out to give you that solution to Incursion 2. For Rebirth, I feel like keep working on Super Skrull because Super Skrull is going to be able to carry that team through Incursion 2 and even at 1.6 if you have a lower Rebirth team. For Invaders, I feel like the only tune on that team that's worth investing in is going to be Nick Fury, because he's going to be a great Dark Dimension 6 pick, and his minions are going to be a great addition to your Invaders team that are going to be able to carry the lower tunes on that team. As for Bifrost, I feel like you don't really need to invest in them currently. They are a safe investment though, but as of right now, don't bother. If they are able to beat the raids that you're doing currently, there's no need to bring them up higher. I would save some gold for Bifrost to bring them up slowly once Incursion 2 comes out and see how small you can keep them while still doing the difficulty that your alliance is at. As for Pegasus, I feel like it's the same rules as Bifrost, but even more so. I don't think this team's going to need to be very big since they are the newest team and they are going to be the solution to Incursion 1 as well as Incursion 2 on that tech section. I feel like a 1.1, maybe 1.2 million team will be able to do the highest difficulty of Incursion 2, but obviously that's just speculation. The goal is to save some gold and not build too high and build when you see issues. That's the reason why you use gold, because you want to fix issues and be able to pass content that your alliance is doing as a whole. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you didn't, let me know, leave a dislike, but if you did, leave a like and leave a comment down below, letting me know what you did like or what you didn't like. Until next time, this has been Duelim. Thanks again. Later, y'all.